Hi, my name is Kim Marcus. I'm managing editor of Wine Spectator. Among the wines I taste are those of Portugal. And today I'm here with David Baverstock. He's the chief winemaker of Esbrau Winery in Portugal, which is based in the Alentejo region, which is in the south central part of the country. But now Esbrau has gone to the Douro in the northern part of the country. And describe a bit your venture in the Douro.
We bought the Quinta dos Mouros in 2008, and we were looking for a property that was in the cooler part of the premium area in the Douro. So we considered the Cima Corgo region the most premium for table wines, and we went into the cooler part of the Cima Corgo. So that's where we found Quinta dos Mouros.
Is it that typical on the hillside quinta, you know, in the beautiful valley of the Douro with the river running below it?
Totally. And there's 3.2 kilometres of river frontage on within the property. So what that means, you know, if you know the Douro and the way the river, bends around, it means we've got all the valleys, the expositions and the slopes and the altitudes to make the complex wines that the Douro can do.
It can be quite steep there, and most of the vineyards are terraced.
Yeah, it's a very steep region. It's mountain viticulture, which makes it very labour intensive. Mouros was one of the pioneers in the 50s of doing vertical planting. So the majority of the plantings at Mouros are vertical and not actually on the contour.
What makes the Douro a special place to grow grapes?
You're planting your vines from 50 metres to 500 metres, and you've got all these kind of hills and valleys and slopes and expositions. So you get incredibly complex wines year in, year out, because you have a hot year, you get better wines from the cooler aspects of the vineyard, and vice versa. In cooler years, you're getting better wines. So you can always come up with something pretty interesting in any sort of given vintage condition.
The first wine is called Assobio. And why don't you briefly describe the grapes, what you were looking to accomplish with this wine?
Yeah, the Assobio wine is our sort of more entry-level wine, our everyday wine based on younger vineyards, all the fruits grown at Quinta dos Mouros. But it's, by younger vineyards I mean like 20, 30 years old, and it's based on Touriga Nacional, Touriga Franca and Tinto Roriz, and we make it in a sort of a modern, fresh style, so that you get to see the vibrant, juicy, aromatic, red berry, spicy characters of the Douro varieties without the complexity of wood aging and that kind of thing. So this one was done with modern vinification, stainless steel, temperature control.
It's very fruity and fresh tasting. It has a good attack and crisp acidity.
It's if you're comparing this with an Alentejo wine, it's a much more tighter profile. You know, it's got the fruits there, it's got the aromatics, but it's what we're looking for here is that sort of tight, firm, well-structured palate with very nice acidity to finish off. So very kind of gastronomic kind of feel to it.
What would you eat with this?
Well, I think it can, because of the tannin and the freshness and the acidity, it can tackle quite rich meat dishes, stews and pork meat, that kind of thing. But it's a very versatile wine. I mean, it could be a great pizza wine as well.
Now we go to the Reserva. How are your winemaking facilities there?
We use fruit from the old vineyards, the Vinhas Velhas, which are field planted, field mix, and within the winery we do bunch sorting, because you get a lot of variation in ripeness with old vineyards, and then we crush into the traditional granite lagars, and we foot tread. It's the foot treading combined with the lagars where you have this very large surface area of skins to juice. The ratio is very high, and you can get a very sort of thorough soaking of the cap and a very soft maceration. So yeah, you get a very complex wine at the end of it all, because in the beginning it's all about the contact with the skins, with the juice, and then towards the end you're getting also a lot of contact with the lees towards the end, and that also brings in an extra factor, I think. And we also combine it with a bit of hand plunging. And
that actually is a gentle way of working with the grapes.
Very, very gentle. Yeah, we retain very fine tannins, I think, that way. Fair bit of aeration, which is helpful for sort of tannin structure. And I think we get a lot of complexity in the finished product. So we foot tread, and normally between 5 and 7 days the wine ferments, and then we basket press. We've got the old-fashioned basket presses up there, and then we age this wine for 12 months in a mix of French and American barrels. The only new barrels we use are French, and when we use 15% French oak, and the other 85% are used French and American oak barrels. So we're very careful about how much oak we want to be seen in the wine.
So let's try the Quinta dos Mouros Reserva.
Yeah, it's a 2008. So this was actually our very first harvest, and we were lucky. We had a very good year. 2008, 2007, 2008 were two really top vintages in the Douro.
Already there's a much darker color to this wine than the Asselbio.
Yeah, more density to it.
Has lots of nice dry berry notes, a little chocolate, nice acidity. Where does the acidity come from? Do you think it's from the Touriga or another grape? Or?
It's the old vineyards. It's the mixed planting. So, yeah, it's a bit hard to put your finger exactly on that one. But these old vines are at 450 meters altitude. So they're the last. It's the last vineyard we pick. We struggle to get it up to 13.5, 14, which is more or less what it's going to be.
13.5 degrees
alcohol in the final blend. And so the acidity retains itself pretty well because of the height, the altitude in the vineyard.
And for me, this is a bit richer wine, requiring maybe some nice beef dish or...
Yeah, I think it would handle a good steak pretty well.
Or even roast beef.
Well. Roast beef, yeah.
And in your experience, how do you see this wine? Is this wine typical of the Douro, or is it something you're trying to do a little bit different?
Yeah, no, I think it's typical. It's much more solid than we would have. It doesn't have that sort of sweet middle palate like we have in the Alentejo, so I think it's typical of the Douro in that way. It has complexity because it's coming from those old vineyards. It has some elegance because it's come from high vineyards. If anything, with what we're trying to do with Moristas, I wouldn't mind seeing just a little bit lighter touch. Make it a little bit more elegant and complex from that point of view. But like I said, it was the first harvest, first vineyard. We were still getting to grips with the winery and the foot treading and the lagars, and we've since sort of made some improvements on that level. But we're still maintaining the way we're making it now.
Okay, David. Well, good luck in the Douro.
Thank you.
And
cheers.
Cheers.